So, first of all, I look like Laura Farquhar with this little haircut, but that's beside the point, right? So, Trump pardoned a man named Todd Chrisley. I don't know if that's how it's pronounced, but correct me if I'm wrong, right? And his wife. Now, I don't know what crime they committed. That ain't the point of this video, right? What I want to speak about is how when Todd got out of prison, he immediately spoke about the unfair treatment that the black men got in prison as compared to him, right? So he spoke about how he received all these privileges and stuff from the guards, and he was like, yeah, it was literally because I'm white, right? And I mean, what black person is surprised by this? Like that's kind of like just that's what reality is for black people in America, right? We all knew that, okay? Like, but I guess this is a grand epiphany for a white man because a lot of white people have really managed to convince themselves that racism doesn't exist and that they have everything and black people have nothing because they really just work harder and those lazy blacks really just need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps and so and so and so, right? So he was talking about this and the Shade Room posted this, right? And a bunch of black people are in the comments like, oh yeah, he's invited to the cookout. He has a black grandchild. He doesn't play about black people. That man's grandchild is biracial, okay? So I pointed that out and, ooh, y'all folks was mad at me. Yo, when I tell you I have a lot of screenshots from this post, I'm going to end up making like 3 videos about this post because I have so many screenshots from it, okay? But, we're going to focus on this one particular conversation. Today, on this day, well, not today, but the day that this happened, right? I had time, y'all, because normally it's like, who got time to be going back and forth with people? But on this particular day, I didn't have to work. I was in bed with crabs. Oh, I had all the time in the world, okay? So this one particular woman, it kind of starts randomly because she came halfway through the conversation and added me, right? But let me give you one little background, like, tidbit before we get into this because I didn't screenshot that comment, I don't think, right? So this woman is a biracial woman, right? Now, let me be clear. Under the post, I said the word mulatto, okay? So this woman is mulatto, biracial, whatever you want to call her. And when she initially came to the post, y'all, she was like, oh, I'm black. White people have called me the N-word. That makes me black. I was like, what the hell, right? But I want y'all to remember that because something is going to come up later in this conversation that's going to have you like, hold up. And I clocked her tea about this too, okay? So let's get into this conversation. Now, I'm going to do my best to keep these comments in some sort of order. Okay, so the first one I'm going to read, she says, no, ma'am, you are aiding it by trying to separate. Race is a human construct. It's actually not real, which is what makes you sound crazy saying half black/white is another race. We are a different skin tone. Black and white are cultural things, and because my skin tone is not white and half my family is black culturally and not white, and my white family is racist, I can decide to claim half of my identity. Thank you for your opinions, though. Now pause. What? So she said because her skin tone is not white and half of her family is black, right? She can decide to claim black. But your skin tone not black and half your family is white. So claim white and make yourself scarce, right? Like, yo, whenever you apply the same logic to these people's arguments, it immediately falls off the bone. But whatever. I replied to her, I said, really? Race is a human construct. I wonder why black people are more likely to have sickle cell and white people are more likely to have cystic fibrosis if race is a social construct. And no, you can't pretend to be black because your white family is racist. You can stand up to white supremacy and check them, though. You really just said, white people tell me I'm not white and I listen, but you can't tell me I'm not black. That's literally racist. Now, the next comment I'm going to read from this woman says, you got issues. Let's compare who you think's life is harder. Sis, I have received a lot of hate from dark-skinned women. Unlike you, I don't hate them and go around calling them dark-skinned. I understand internalized self-hate through the white standard of beauty. I studied in college as a history major studying women in the African diaspora at the Morgan State University. Guess who got a chapter in the discussion? Light-skinned women and how the fetishization of closeness to whiteness was and is damaging to all women, but darker-skinned women in particular. I was grilled about my light-skin privilege, and I can own it. That's what makes me a more compassionate person. The reason it was covered in class, because we are part of the story of the African diaspora as well. You need to do some soul searching. My people are all shades of brown, and we do not see We do not even talk about this. We all see our plight of women of color as the same in this current environment, and by being aligned, we are helping all of us, no matter the shade. You should try it, but you got some healing to do, sis. Peace be with you. Now, I want to sit here and discuss this comment for a second, right? I hope that some of you follow the shade room and that some of you saw this conversation unfolding. Because, y'all, when I tell y'all that I was not attacking anyone or being hateful at all, like literally not at all. Quite literally, I said, oh, the granddaughter is mulatto, right? And people started replying to me in droves. And I was replying to them sensibly, right? Like, I wasn't dragging nobody or nothing. I wasn't being mean. I was just saying biracials are not black. Like, what are we talking about here, right? And half the time, I was just repeating their arguments back to them, but just flipping it, right? So if somebody said, oh, a biracial person has a black parent, therefore they're black, I say, well, a biracial person, they have a white parent, therefore they're white, right? That was half of what I was saying. Like, y'all, when I tell you they were attacking me on a personal basis, right? People were attacking my looks. Oh, you look 45 years old. Y'all, I do not look 45. Like, let's be for real, right? But, people just say stuff when they trying to argue and trying to make a point, right? People were attacking me personally, right? Mind you, I was just, like, it's crazy because, y'all, I can be mean. I can absolutely be mean. I can drag bitches. Come on now, right? But I wasn't even doing that. I really wasn't, right? Yet, this woman is talking about, wait, hold up. Here it is. This woman is talking about, I've received a lot of hate from dark-skinned women. Unlike you, I don't hate them. Who hates you? What are you talking about? Like, now, granted, I did use the word mulatto, right? I did use the word mulatto, but that was it. Who hates you? What do you, like, huh? But this is something that I've noticed time and time again, right? You all believe that black women, especially darker-skinned black women, have to worship you and kiss your ass. And if we disagree with you on anything, we have to be jealous or hate you or picking on you or whatever, right? All I did was say that biracials are not black. How did you gather that I hate you from that? Like, what? If I sit here and I said Chinese people are not black, does that mean I hate Chinese people, or does it just mean that Chinese people are not black and I simply stated that? Like, what are we saying? And it's confusing because I was not the one throwing personal insults in all of this. People were attacking me on a personal level and I wasn't. But somehow I'm the one who hates everybody and like, what? But that's the life of a dark-skinned black woman. You can sit there, you can be as nice as whatever, and people are still going to be acting like you a mad black woman. That's what comes with it, right? So I replied and I said, you, a mulatto, are telling a dark-skinned black woman that colorism is real. You don't say. You do know that I'm the one actually going through it, right? Like, what? So then she says, because you brought up being dark-skinned in a negative way, you said because of your dark shade, you are going through it. If I wanted to be nasty, I could call you black as tar. I don't see women of color like that. I see us as the same. My sisters are black. My brother is black. My nieces and nephews are black. I'm black. I've been called the N-word by white people. I don't know what to tell you, but it is clear that you have some self-hate, determined to use a word that culturally in America is no longer accepted as respectful. Just like we no longer say retarded. You need critical thinking skills, but based on your bitterness, you're clearly not educated and do not understand the nuances of the world and can't respect that if a group of people is telling you they are offended by a term you use to describe them, and instead you double down, that makes you no better than a white person who uses the N-word. Have a good night. Okay, now let's unpack this really quickly. Now, first of all, this is the comment where she brings up white people having called her the N-word. That is going to be very important for later. That's going to come back to the story, okay? So anyway, let's get into the rest of this, right? She says, because you brought up being dark-skinned in a negative way. I've never brought up being dark-skinned in a negative way, like ever. Not under this post, not under any other post. I will not, cannot on a boat. I will not, cannot with a goat. Like, what are you talking about? What are you saying, right? But this is the thing. Hold up, y'all. Stick with me, right? Something I've noticed, right, is that white people, let's use white people as an example, right? They don't like to use the word black. They don't call us black people. They call us African Americans, which is fine because I'm African American, right? But not every black person is African American. They will hear somebody with a Caribbean accent and they'll call that person African American. How is that? Like, what, right? But they do that because they view blackness as negative. So when they're amongst themselves, they use black as a slur, right? So when they get around black people, they don't like to use black, right? And when black people call each other it, they, subconsciously or whatever, right, view it as us calling each other a negative thing because that's how they use it, right? So the fact that I brought up being dark skinned at all in any capacity, she viewed that as me speaking negatively about myself because that's how she views dark skinnedness. That's not what I said or anything like that. That's what she feels, and she projected that onto me. Now, next she says, if I wanted to be nasty, I could call you black as tar. Now, my thing is this. You sitting here up under this post arguing that you're black, right? But then you see an actual black woman and you talking about, if I wanted to be nasty, I could call you black as tar. Huh? Like, how does that make sense, right? You claim that you're a black woman, but when you see an actual black woman, that's the type of stuff that you're saying, right? That's like, for example, right? That's like me calling myself African. Now, y'all know that I don't call myself African, but some black Americans do, right? There's a very complex relationship with Africa in the black American community. Some black Americans identify as African because, they feel if it wasn't for white people and all of that, then, they would have been African, fair, valid, right? Some of us don't, though, right? Now, let's say that there is a black American who does identify as African, right? And they say to an African, I'm African. And then the African says, no, you're not. Like, you wasn't born here, whatever, so and so and so, right? And then that black American says, if I wanted to be nasty, I could call you a spirit chucker, something, something, something. It'll be like, hold up. Like, you claiming to be African, but when you meet an actual African person, you got a bunch of negative shit to say about them, right? And even though you didn't outright say that, the fact that you even said, oh, I could call you this, that, the fact that you even said that, you basically actually said that shit, right? So the fact that this woman is claiming to be black, and she's talking about, if I wanted to be nasty, I could call you black as tar. Huh? Like, you basically did just call me that. The fact that you even, like, threw that out there, it's wild, right? It's wild how people who hate blackness pretend to be black at the same time. You'll have a very complex relationship with blackness because you hate everything that makes a person black, yet you still pretending that you are black. Like, somebody needs to do a damn study on y'all because y'all out your minds. The next thing she says is, white people have called me the N-word. Right now, we're going to come to that again later. But for right now, I do want to comment on the fact that that's not what makes a person black, right? My thing is this. White people are always at odds, even with other white people. So if white people started calling another group of white people the N-word, right, would that make those white people black? No, right? That's not what determines what a black person is, right? How dare you ignore the beauty that is blackness, right? And say, forget about that. What makes me black, even though I am not black, is the fact that white people call me the N-word. That's actually mad rude and mad disgusting, but okay, let's push along. Now, next she said that because I use the word mulatto, I have self-hate. That doesn't make any sense. I'm not a mulatto. Now, maybe you could say that I'm hateful, period, right? You could say, oh, you're using this mean word against me, right? But, I mean, how would that be self-hate, right? But, honestly, something that I've noticed is that a lot of people, whether they're biracials or completely non-black people or whatever, right? A lot of people believe that they are better than black people, which, I mean, is not that surprising in a system of white supremacy. Realistically, somebody who's half white and half black is above a black person on the racial hierarchy, right? So they believe that they're better than us, and because of that, they believe that we believe it too. And a lot of times that is true. A lot of black people do have a lot of internalized self-hatred and stuff, right? But you'll notice that they'll project it onto you even if it's not true. How the hell do I have self-hatred because I use the word mulatto? That doesn't even make sense. But you think that because I'm a dark-skinned black woman, I should hate myself. So you're gonna pretend that you came to that conclusion naturally because of something that I said instead of acknowledging your own biases and where that actually came from. Next, she says that based on my bitterness, I'm clearly not educated. The funny thing is I'm more educated than her, but very rarely do I be like pointing out my level of education. Now, I did cook somebody a little bit with it up under this post because this dummy was talking about, biologically, something. I said, you might want to stop there because I actually have 2 degrees in biology, right? This dumb was like, I have an associate's in biology, something. I said, well, okay, I have a master's in biology, so maybe you might want to shut the fuck up and ask me if I could tutor you or something, right? Like, what? Then this dumbass was like, I'm currently in my master's classes. How the hell you jump from an associate's to a master's? Like, so you just jumped over the bachelor's requirement period? Because in order to get a master's, you got to have a 4-year degree. You can't go from associate's to master. Lying ass motherfucker, but whatever. So I ignored the education thing because, like, girl, I'm more educated than you. I don't have nothing to prove. Like, anyway, right? So then she said, it makes me no better than a white person using the N-word. Now, this is my thing. I don't care what motherfucking word I use. I will never be comparable to a white person using the N-word, period, because there is no history or current day oppression behind that word. My people never use that word against your people, none of that, right? But something I've noticed about biracials, right, is the fact that they're constantly trying to pretend that black people are their real oppressors, not white people. Like, you'll hear biracials talk about, oh yeah, black people treated me worse than any white people did. What are you talking about? White people literally, you just said white people call you this and don't allow you to ABC and XYZ and so and so and so. Meanwhile, you come to the black community and you're by and large welcomed with open arms and worshipped because of your proximity to whiteness. But you're going to try to convince me that black people are really the ones oppressing you, because all it is, y'all act like y'all black, y'all act like y'all down, but you're really still looking for crumbs of approval from white supremacists because you still want to be included with them. Like, what? So anyway, let's move along to the next comment. So then this goofy says, and I'm light-skinned, not mulatto. You just proved my point. Call me light-skinned and have a nice day. I said, you are mulatto, not light-skinned. Light-skinned people have 2 black parents. Non-black people aren't light-skinned, Miss Mulatto. Like, I don't like how non-black people are colonizing the term light-skinned. And this is my thing. You can look and tell the difference between somebody who's light-skinned and somebody who is a mulatto. Like, my work bestie is light-skinned. And when you look at her, she looked like a black person. Like, she has a black person's face, but it's just lighter skin, right? And she also has nappy hair, right? When you look at a mulatto, most of the time they don't have nappy hair, right? But sometimes, once in a while, they do. Like Doja Cat has 4C hair, right? And then the other thing is they don't have a black person's face. They have a non-black person's face, right? You're not light-skinned. I don't like how there's this whitening of blackness occurring, because now y'all got white people, literal white people, right, calling themselves light-skinned and shit, right? And mulattoes calling themselves light-skinned. Now, I guess light skins are the new brown skins. Brown skins are definitely the new dark skins, because y'all been talking about, oh, there's no such thing as brown skin, just light and dark. Oh, you must be dark skin. Now, dark skins, we got to secretly be African. We don't even actually exist anymore in the black American ethnicity. Like, I don't like this shit. I see it happening in real time. Cut it. So next, she says, you couldn't be more wrong about that, but you tried. I think you just mad because you looked at my profile. My life is fabulous with all my beautiful shades of brown friends traveling the world together, and you look like you probably haven't left your state. Stay mad. This has nothing to do with mulatto biracial anymore. First of all, it had everything to do with mulatto and biracial until you just randomly started talking about traveling. So, like, what? Where did that come from, right? But then my other thing is this. First of all, I had not looked at her page. Like, girl, I couldn't spot you in a lineup if you broke the law. Okay, let's get that out the way. But then my other thing is this, right? My Instagram profile is private, so you can't see anything but my profile picture unless you follow me. So this woman saw this picture, right? This is my profile picture, and she deduced that I look like I haven't left the state. Like, how did you come to that conclusion from this picture of me sitting there? Unless you saying that, like, black people don't travel, because, like, how else would you come to a conclusion like that, right? And then it's the fact that it's so far from the truth, because y'all know that I travel more than the average person, right? Like, I go on weekend trips on a regular basis. Like, I just got back from Toronto, you know, I'll go on a weekend trip to Chicago or Miami or Atlanta, whatever, right? And then once or twice a year, I also try to go on, like, a larger trip. Like, I already have my birthday trip planned, but I'm not going to tell y'all where I'm going yet, right? But, you know, I like to try to go on an international trip every year, and, you know, like some larger trips too, right? So the fact that she tried to throw this out there, this stuff is always so funny to me when people throw these black stereotypes out against me. Oh, you're uneducated. Oh, you're poorly traveled, because it's so far from the truth. That's why, like, I don't even be, like, bothered with really, like, clocking people tea, because it's like, what are you talking about? Like, girl, fuck you and your friends, first of all. Like, didn't nobody look at your damn page, right? But then even if I had, I wouldn't give a hoot about you traveling, because I probably travel more than you, and I more than likely travel better places than you. Now, I'm not going to say I'm the most traveled bitch in the world, because there's people beating me out there, right? Like, this folks going to Dubai this week, going to the Swiss Alps next week. You know, I'm not finna sit here and act like I'm like the most traveled person in the entire world or anything, because I'm not, right? But I do travel on a regular basis, and I do go nice places, right? Like, what are we talking about here, right? But again, y'all are always throwing out these stereotypes for black people and just hoping that something sticks. Y'all do this all the time. Like, earlier in this conversation, it wasn't this woman. I was talking to somebody else, right? Somebody was like, how can you say that as a mother? I said, I'm not no damn mother, bitch. I don't have no kids. Why would you assume that though? Because I'm a black woman, and I guess all black women are baby mamas, right? Like, y'all are always throwing out these black stereotypes. And it's just like, what are we saying here? You talking about, oh, you not educated. Whole time I'm more educated than you. Got a master's degree from the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor in cancer chemical biology. And you talking about a fucking bum ass history degree, a bachelor's degree. No, let me not say bum ass, because, you know, good for you. You went to college, you know, like, let me not say that, right? And I don't like when people have like a hierarchy of majors. Oh, I'm better than you because I had this major. That's unfair to me, right? But bitch, you got a lot of nerve talking about somebody is less educated than you when you don't even have what is regarded as a very, you know, complicated major, and you didn't go to a top-notch school, right? Like, the least you could have did is went to Harvard and studied fucking astrophysics. If you gonna be out here talking about you the most educated bitch in the world, like, the fuck, you can have a PhD in astrophysics at that. You got a fucking bachelor's in history from a school that's not even ranked that well, and you trying to tell somebody else that they not educated. Like, bitch, are you dumb? So I replied to her and I said, haha, that's funny because my next trip to South America is already booked for July. That's not my birthday trip. Before y'all be like, ain't your birthday in July? That is not my birthday trip. I have 2 trips in July. Okay, period. I said, that's after I've already been all over Europe and the Caribbean. I'll be going to Africa next. Tell me why I look like I haven't left my state? Because I'm a black woman. Because we all know exactly where that's actually coming from. And this is what I be talking about when I say y'all constantly claiming to be something that you hate. You see a black woman simply sitting there because, again, the only picture she can see of me is my profile picture, right? You see a black woman simply sitting there and you come to the conclusion that she's uneducated, poorly traveled, so and so and so. But you claiming to be a black woman, though. The math don't math. And I said this to her. I said, you have preconceived notions about black women. That's why you said I look like I haven't left my state. Because how would you come to that conclusion based off a profile picture of me just sitting there, right? So then she says, nah, because you look raggedy. I'm a black woman and I travel with only black women, so you tried it, but you failed. And no, I don't look raggedy, okay? Like, again, let's be for real, okay? Because, you know, people like to just throw out random insults when they're arguing and attempting to make a point. I don't look raggedy. That just is what it is, right? And again, look at my profile picture. I look well put together. My hair is freshly done. There's nothing raggedy looking about that profile picture. So what are you talking about, right? So then I said, laughing my fucking ass off, I look raggedy how? Because, again, the only picture you can see of me is me with my hair nicely done and simply sitting there looking at the camera. So how do I look raggedy? Right, because I'm black. You can admit that you hate black women. It's obvious. So she says, I mean, you sitting there mean mugging, looking like the most miserable person in the world. You look raggedy, miserable, unwelcoming. Just my opinion, since your opinion is it's okay to repeatedly call me a derogatory slur, even though you've been told it's offensive. Well-traveled people would know not to do that because you get your ass beat in someone else's country if you did, so you certainly wouldn't do that here. Well-traveled people have respect for the terminology people wish and do not wish to be described as. Now, that's the important message, right? So she goes on to say, oh, I think you're uneducated based on blah, 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 whatever. But no, we just gonna focus on this message, right? So I said, oh, well, that ain't got nothing to do with me because ain't nobody beat my ass nowhere, right? So then she said, you would if you came in my face and called me a mulatto, right? I said, I ain't getting my ass beat nowhere, right? So then she said, you would if you came in my face and called me a mulatto, respectfully, of course, keyboard warrior. So I'm the keyboard warrior, but you the one on the keyboard threatening to beat my ass. Like, what? So then I said, right, weren't you the same one who said white people have called you the N-word? Did you beat their asses? Because you left that out of the conversation. All you mentioned is you submitting and agreeing that you're not white or mixed and letting them force you to identify as black. And then she magically disappeared. Wait a second, y'all. Now, earlier in this conversation, you claimed that you're black because white people have called you the N-word. That was your claim to blackness, right? And you didn't add no, oh yeah, they call me the N-word, but I beat their ass, I so and so and so, I yada, 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 none of that, right? But then, later on in this conversation, you talking about, oh, you would get your ass beat if you call me mulatto in person. But what happened to the white folks that called you a nigger, though? What happened to that, though? Like, what? And then you called me a keyboard warrior because you threatened to beat my ass on the internet. Is that not the definition of a keyboard warrior? And it's crazy because stuff like that used to really piss me off. Like when somebody would say something like that, I'd be like, bitch, where do you live at? And we can see what you really gonna do, because I'm gonna call you a fucking mulatto to your face and let's see you beat my ass, right? But now I don't even get offended by shit like this because what are we talking? Like, bitch, you're a fucking joke. Like, again, because let's circle back. Earlier in this damn conversation, you said white people called you the N-word. and you didn't have no motherfucking energy. You was like, oh yes sir, master. I was a nigga, I was black. I ain't mixed. I can't just claim white, none of that. I was black. I was be a nigga, sir. But you threatening to beat my ass up for calling you a mulatto. Like, now, forget about the fact that black people have never oppressed mulattoes with the term mulatto. There's no historical whatever coming from black people, at least, because mulattoes have oppressed black people, right? Black people have never oppressed you with that word, and white people apparently have in the present day and historically. But you ain't got that energy for them. You only got that energy for black people, though. And that's y'all problem. Y'all always got an energy with black people that y'all don't have with white people. White people can shit in your face, and you'll be like, oh, yes, sir, master. A black person breathe, and suddenly you big and bad and rough and tough. Like, what? And then you type all that drivel out about me being aggressive and unwelcoming and so and miserable. And then immediately followed it up with threatening to beat my ass. So ain't you the aggressive, unwelcoming ABC and XYZ, whatever, right? But this is the reality of being a black woman. And I'm talking about an actual black woman, not a biracial woman who pretends to be black, right? This is the reality. You don't have to be the aggressor, but you'll always be painted as it. This woman sat there and started attacking me first, talking about I look raggedy and she beat my ass and so. But somehow I'm still the aggressive one. I'm still the miserable one. I'm still the raggedy looking one. Like, what are we talking about here? But again, that's the reality of actual black people in this country. So while biracials sit around pretending to be black, have you ever noticed that when they're around black people, they always take the position of the white person, throwing out a bunch of anti-black stereotypes? You uneducated, you never traveled, you so, you aggressive. While they are the aggressor, that's the exact thing white people do, bro. That's the exact thing that they do. They are the aggressors, and then anytime, you don't even have to respond. I was gonna say, anytime you defend yourself, they play the victim. No, you can sit there and let them bully you and harass you, and they'll still paint you as the aggressor. Like, y'all sit here pretending to be black, but y'all are so much more like white people than y'all would ever like to acknowledge. Anyway, I'm about to end this video because I'm about to be late to something, as usual, as always. But what I want to point out here before I go is, well, first of all, of course, biracials are not black. Okay, it doesn't matter how passionate you get about it. You know, you can have all the emotions in the world. I feel very strongly about this, and guess what? You're still not going to be black. The same way somebody who's half black and half white ain't Chinese, they ain't black. Like, what are we talking about here, right? So you can be as, you know, like emotionally charged as you want to. Guess what? You're still not black. Guess what, bitch? And ain't nobody gonna beat my ass about it. And guess what, bitch? And even if you did, you still wouldn't be black, bitch. You got to beat my black ass, and you still won't be black, bitch. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? Anyway, so then, yeah, aside from that, y'all need to take a serious look at yourselves, because y'all are very performative. This woman sat here talking about, yeah, I went to the Morgan State University, HBCU, right? I studied this, that, so and so. I studied the African diaspora, blah, blah, blah. And guess what you just did in this conversation? You immediately took on the role of a white woman, right? You immediately used anti-black rhetoric against a black woman. You said that I was black as tar, I'm uneducated, poorly traveled, that I'm the aggressor, and then you threatened to beat my ass, but I'm the aggressor though, right? Like, y'all need to look in the mirror real bad.